Hello! Welcome everybody to my presentation. Today I'm going to be talking about the assignment that me and my group have just completed for STG 390. That presentation, or that assignment rather, was over the past couple of weeks, me and my group of 3 other people were assigned $10,000 and we were told to meet a few times and see how much we could make or potentially lose. So, we are going to first get into some of the interactions within the group. I think that's the meat of this project. And at the very end, we will lightly look at some of the results of the project. So first of all, we're going to talk a little bit about my experiences with this group and maybe how that's differed from other groups I've done in the past. I would say that this has been a wholly new experience. The meetings took place completely and entirely over Zoom. I had not done that before. All of my group projects in the past have been in person with people I'm seeing pretty much every day. These people I did not see every day, and when I did see them, it was through Zoom. So that was an interesting experience, a little bit of a roadblock to overcome, but I would say that it was very interesting, and now I am stronger for it, because now I know how to interact over Zoom. That's great. The second thing we're going to talk about is some of the roles that emerged within the group. So as I said, there were 3 other people. Those were Kaya, Cameron, and Armando. And I'm going to, real quick, just kind of give them roles based on what I felt was going on in the project. So Kaya really emerged as a leader. She was very talkative, which is something the other 3 of us kind of lacked. So she took the lead in most meetings. She kind of got us on the path and got us going every time in a productive direction. Cameron, I would say, is more of a supervisor type figure. He maybe didn't participate in the conversations too much, but he was certainly making sure that the project was getting done on time. Things were scheduled, or meetings were scheduled when they needed to be, and just generally kept us moving, I would say. Armando and I were kind of also just kind of quieter individuals in the meeting. We didn't talk so much. We did provide our opinion when it was needed, but for the most part, we did our work out of class. We would fulfill the consensus of the group. We're going to move on to the next section, which was norms. I would say over the past couple of weeks, there weren't too many norms that emerged, at least not that I noticed. And I think it is especially hard for norms to occur in a Zoom environment, but we will take a look at it anyhow. First meeting, pretty much everybody kind of slid into the slots where they would be most efficiently used. That is, Kaya became the leader. Armando and I kind of slid into our spots. Cameron became the... You know what I mean. Everybody got into their roles pretty quickly. Everybody knew what they were supposed to be doing and how they were supposed to do it. One interesting one interesting norm that I will point out is that all of the decisions made by our group were pretty much unanimous decisions. We didn't really have anybody pushing their ideologies and stuff on others. We kind of came to all of our decisions as a group. That being said, it was kind of hard to find unanimous decisions sometimes, but I would say that it was good that we did so, and we became stronger as a group as a result of it. Pretty much everybody showed up every meeting. We had all 4 people every meeting, so that was good. Excellent to have. And and we had a kind of democratic leadership style. Like I said, Kaya was the leader, but she didn't have ultimate power or anything like that. We would discuss things as a team and come to a consensus before agreeing on any course of action. Next up, we're going to talk about power distribution. We've already really talked about that. There was a kind of a hierarchy with Kaya on the top. She would keep things moving, and the other 3 of us in the rank below her. As we said, nobody tried to make any power plays, which is excellent. I think if people try to make power plays, that really throws off the equilibrium of a group, so I was very glad that that did not happen. And then, like we said, decisions were made as a group, not as individuals. Next up, we're going to talk about interaction patterns. Like we said, Kaya did most of the talking. I did a little bit of talking, as did Armando, but really only whenever we needed to input our opinions, when Kaya was asking questions about what we should buy, what we should sell, etc. And then Cameron was also the same way. He had some very good insights, but he was also very quiet during the meetings, and only really pitched in when it was necessary, which is good, which is fine. That was the dynamic of the group. And yeah, that was the interaction. We're going to look at the stages of interaction now, the 4 stages being forming, storming, norming, and performing. Basically, the first step is getting into groups, second step is conflict, third step is resolving conflict and watching norms emerge, and the fourth step is everybody being productive now that we have our norms in place, our roles in place, and everything as it should be. We moved through these 4 very quickly, actually. I would say we actually hit all 4 in the very first meeting. In the first meeting, we got together into our groups, or into our group, I suppose, that's forming. We kind of slid into our roles just by virtue of who each of us is as an individual, and that was good. That was good. We didn't have to really tell anybody what to do. Everybody just kind of inherently knew. Second of all, we had storming. We did have some conflict early on. Nobody really knew much about stocks. Some of us did have a little bit of information that we were bringing to the meeting, but none of us are by any means professional stock traders. So we had some arguments about what we needed to be buying, what we needed to be selling, what our general strategy needed to be, but we got that all figured out pretty quickly. That is the third step, norming. We figured out what we needed to do, how to do it, and then we proceeded to the fourth step, performing, where we actually completed our steps. We did what we needed to do, and that was great. And then for the other 3 meetings, we just did that. Again, we just continued on step 4. There wasn't really any conflict. We all brought some ideas about what to do with our stocks to the meetings. There was discussion, but really no more conflict, so I was glad for that. Excuse me. Okay, the next thing we were talking about is our agenda. That being our maybe plans for the meeting, and how we would go about doing stuff. We never really had any set agenda. We would just kind of show up and start talking. We would maybe have some awkward small talk at the beginning, because that's what you're supposed to do in groups. But then we would usually move pretty quickly into business. We would talk about what we had seen recently about the stock market and whatnot. Maybe bring some ideas of what to buy, what to sell, insights on how things were moving and whatnot. And we usually could get that entire process done very quickly. I would say usually no more than 20 minutes. 15 to 20 minutes, I'd say, was the average meeting length. And then once we were finished, we didn't really have any outro. We just kind of hopped off the call and continued about our day. So there was no real agenda in place. We just kind of showed up, did what we needed to do, and got out. And final point, we are going to talk about how I think we succeeded as a group, or if we did succeed. I personally think that we did very well as a group, especially given the circumstances. Several meetings over a couple of weeks, all through Zoom, and especially with the stock market, with which none of us really had any experience, I would say we did very well. Overall, we did lose $300 of the $10,000 we started with, but I would say that's to be expected. I think the market was trending downwards over the period of our assignment. If perhaps we had a little bit more time, I think we could remake that money, do a little bit better. But given the cards we were given, I suppose, I would say we played our hand pretty well. If we had to change a couple of things about how the group interacted over the course of the thing, though, I would say that there are really two main things. I would say we should have done communication a little bit better. We communicated primarily via text to arrange meetings and get our information in order. And sometimes people wouldn't text back when they needed to. I know I was guilty of that a little bit. And it kind of made it frustrating some days, worrisome, stressful, trying to figure out what things were happening. And second of all, I would say that we probably ought to do it in person if we were to do it again. I think that was the original intention of the assignment. If this were an in-person class, we would have been given time at the beginning of each class to kind of do this meeting thing, but that being said, it may not be feasible, especially for an online class, to meet in person several times over the course of just a couple of weeks. That being said, I think we did pretty well. If we were to do it again, those would be the two things: better communication and maybe meeting in person. Thank you for watching my presentation. I know I've gone significantly over time, but thank you for listening to me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, wherever you're watching from, whenever you're watching from. My name is Elijah Sumpter, and thank you for watching.